Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Karazi and I am here and I have the honor of interviewing Reverend Dr. Shannon Smythe. Dr. Shannon Smythe is an ordained clergy in the Presbyterian Church and has served since 2023 in a validated ministry in the New Jersey Presbytery of the Coastlands as Director of Field Education and Vocational Formation at Princeton Theological Seminary. She has pastored PC congregations in New Jersey, Delaware, and New York, and brings more than a decade of experience engaging in Reformed theological scholarship, authoring 2 books and numerous essays and articles, and teaching in both seminary and undergraduate contexts. Dr. Shannon serves as the steering committee of the Palestine Justice Network of the Presbyterian Church, the Presbyterian Advisory Council of Churches for the New Jersey Coastlands Presbytery. She organizes with Christians for a free Palestine, and I love the necklace that you're wearing, by the way.
Thank you, yes.
And what is it written in Arabic?
That's my understanding, that it's Palestine.
Palestine, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Through Handmade Palestine, which is just a wonderful, based in Ramallah, connecting with artisans and crafters in the West Bank, and sharing that for folks around the world.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for wearing that today. She organizes with Christians for a free Palestine and has participated in nonviolent direct actions with Interfaith Action for Palestine in Washington, D.C., and Good Friday Actions in Pennsylvania, with Red Letter Christians and Prayers for Peace Alliance. She is facilitating a solidarity delegation to Palestine in January 2026. That's right around the corner.
It is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
In coordination with FASNA. Do you mind letting us know what FASNA stands for?
FASNA stands for Friends of Sabeel North America.
Okay.
And so in partnership with the real leaders of the delegation, which is Sabeel.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Dr. Shannon lives in Morrisville, Pennsylvania.
I do.
I'm familiar with that area.
Yeah.
Sesame Place.
Yeah, very close by. Yes,
Very
exactly.
close by, yeah. With her husband, Kevin, her son, Micah, and her dog, Chloe. What kind of dog do you have?
A Jack Russell Lab mix.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, so she's bigger than a Jack Russell with the ears, but we've got the lab tail, the Jack Russell markings, and smaller than an actual lab.
Does she shed a lot of hair?
She does, unfortunately, yes.
It's okay.
Keeps us busy cleaning.
I was going to say the same thing. All right. Nice to have you with us, Dr.
Sarah.
Shannon.
Yes.
So we're going to jump into our questions.
Sure.
As a Reformed theologian, how do you reconcile the biblical narratives of justice and liberation with the current realities of violence and mass displacement in Gaza?
Yeah. Well, that's precisely the work that I'm involved in, along with others, comrades in the Presbyterian Church USA, which is to say that I think our sacred scriptures are very clear, particularly through the life and ministry of Jesus, a Palestinian Jewish rabbi who came bringing justice and truth and peace in the line of the prophets before him. And so what is happening in Gaza, unfortunately, is the result of what I would say is heretical Christian teachings. Christian Zionist teachings are these heretical teachings that don't see all people made in the image of God and are politically supporting an ethno-nationalist state that is genociding a whole people. And this to me is anathema. This is what God hates and what God grieves over and what God is calling us to speak truthfully and courageously and work for justice and peace to end this for all in Palestine and for all people around the world, because this unfortunately is not something new or unique, but this is the way of colonialism and empire And this is not the way of God's peace and justice for all.
Right, and it's unfortunate that we are witnessing this in
That's right.
2025.
That's right.
It seems as if history is once again repeating itself.
That's right.
And we keep on praying that this will be the end of genocide for any group of people.
That's right. That's right. It needs to be the end, and we need folks of all faith or no faith, as I say, to join together and stand for human dignity, to stand for truth, and to work for justice. Because I take the line from the journalist Chris Hedges, who says, if we don't do this, in the end, we will all be Palestinian. This is coming for all of us. And if anything, the Palestinians are showing us the way to liberation, even though they have not yet had the liberation that they are seeking.
Right.
So there's so much to learn from them, and so much for someone like me who's a Christian clergy to take responsibility for.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Reverend. Our next question is, the Presbyterian Church has officially condemned Christian Zionism, which unfortunately is on the rise here in the United States.
That's right.
Can you explain the core theological conflict between Christian Zionism and a theology of justice for all people in the Holy Land?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that could be said. Scholars have written a lot about Zionism and Christian Zionism and various kind of strands within them, but at the core is a belief that not all humans are created equal, and there's a political support behind that theological belief that says that there's a supremacist God and supremacist notions of who is more worthy and who deserves land and who doesn't. And it's an incredibly violent theology at the end that is not only promoting hatred of our Muslim siblings, but also of our Jewish siblings. So it's deeply destructive, and it's unfortunately taking and using scripture, Jewish and Christian scriptures, to support that and to take a lie and use that for political gains and political ends. So there's a lot of corporations, there's a lot of colonial empire impulses that are being fed by pastors and Christian communities that are taking advantage of folks who don't even know the scriptures very well, and are often people who are marginalized themselves throughout the world, and who are under these mistaken notions that if they bless Israel, God will bless them and give them material wealth and support. And so there's just a lot that needs to be unpacked. There's a lot that needs to be said to say this is a heresy. This is a heresy, and it has material consequences, destroying people's lives.
And now we're talking about not just a group of or handful of people.
No.
We're talking about tens of thousands, or even numbers are showing that there may be over 100,000 Palestinians or greater that unfortunately have been murdered in this genocide.
That's right. That's right.
Since October 8th.
So the brutality that hardens people's hearts and says that in the name of a supposed God who is creator of all. I mean, it's just the most horrifying notions, and it's been around for such a long time within Christianity. These mistaken notions of a Jewish homeland that's not even for the Jewish people. That's not even something that's life-giving, but that's actually for these horrific ends of either converting to Christianity or you will be slaughtered. And these are the notions behind this support for Israel that then has had wreaked so much havoc for so many years for the people of Palestine, and especially right now.
Right. Dr. Reverend, what role does the Christian concept of shalom, which is a term that I have heard quite often, play in guiding your response to the conflict, and how does this translate into concrete actions in Gaza?
Yeah. I mean, I think what's beautiful about notions of shalom, and I would think and say probably salam as well, right? Shalom and salam, and the Greek word in the New Testament is irene, is that peace is not something static. It's not simply the absence of conflict. It's actually something that is about right relationships between all things, living things, non-living things, communities. It's the right relationships and flourishing that exists in between all of these interlocking relationships. That's this notion of shalom. It's wholeness, it's flourishing. So that's, I would say, the vision of God for the world. Right. And it's a beautiful vision, and it calls us who are peacemakers and peace doers to deep action, to courageous action. So to speak out against dehumanization, to courageously, for me as a Christian clergy, to use my body to get in the way and say no to genocide, to say no to Christian Zionism. I think that is actually the peacemaking that we're called to do. It's a very challenging notion, I think, of ancestors who have gone before and showed us through many movements what this looks like. It's a call to deep solidarity. It's a call to radical action. It's a call to tremendous sacrifice that, too many days I'm more scared of than ready to heed the call and do. But I do think that's what we're called to do right now, and we need to do that in community. We need to do that together. We need to build a mass mobilization of people across the spectrum, across the faiths, across the world, and we need to stand up against empire because it's going to come for all of us.
That's right. Dr. Reverend, you serve on the steering committee of the Palestine Justice Network, PGN, and of the PC. Would you mind sharing what PC stands for?
Yeah, so it's the Palestine Justice Network of the Presbyterian Church USA. Okay. So it's this denomination in the United States, the Presbyterian Church USA.
Okay.
So the Palestine Justice Network was started over 20 years ago by the denomination, and it's really a call to not speak for the Presbyterian Church, but to speak prophetically and courageously to the church, and has led to a lot of pretty courageous actions of institutions to be the first institution to divest, to speak prophetically and name things, name the facts on the ground, name things for apartheid, the occupation is apartheid, to name that, to call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And now we've got our General Assembly coming this summer, and so we've got overtures to join the chorus of voices, the obvious truth, and naming what's going on in Gaza as genocide. And calling, we hope to have an overture calling for the U.S. for a full trade embargo with Israel. So that's some of the things that we're working on right now.
Is that for this summer?
That's for this summer. And we're at the level where we have, it has to go from churches to presbyteries and get votes, and then it can go for consideration by our General Assembly. So it has this very democratic process. So that's the work that we're kind of strategically working on at the moment. It's not a guarantee, but we're hopeful through the network of folks bringing this before Presbyterians that will get it to our General Assembly.
Okay, sounds great.
I might have interrupted the question you had there.
No, you know what? That was actually the question.
Okay.
So you jumped right into it, which is great.
Okay.
How does your role at the Princeton Theological Seminary inform your advocacy, and what are the teachings that the next generation of clergy would like to discuss about the global crisis like the one that's happening in Gaza?
Yeah. So my work at the seminary is with students who are training for ministry, and they're discerning what does it mean to serve and minister in our world today, and where are their gifts and skills and passion best suited for. And we're seeing a lot of students who are coming, and what is happening in the world is on their mind. What is happening in Gaza, what has been happening in so many corners of our own country with the militarism and the kidnapping people off the street and throwing them into concentration camps. These are the things that they care about. And so we've had students leading the way, I would say prophetically, at the seminary. They were involved as providing very practical support to the Princeton University undergraduate students who led the way very courageously with the encampment there at the university. And the seminary students were kind of behind the scenes, providing meals, connecting with clergy like myself in the area to also get our communities providing meals and material support to the important work that the students were doing. The seminary itself has not taken a bold and prophetic stance on what is happening, but the students and faculty and alum, if you look, there's so many who are Princeton Seminary students, faculty, and alum who are leading in communities very courageously and joining with siblings of all faiths in doing this work. So, we need our seminaries. The Presbyterian Advisory Council works with a lot of Presbyterian faculty, and we're having these conversations of how do we get out of our silos and be more courageous and prophetic together, challenge our institutions even more. But this, to me, all of this is very long, hard work with, some steps forward, some steps back. But we persist nonetheless.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Reverend, based on your experience, what misconceptions or narratives about the conflict in Gaza do you most frequently encounter within your own community that need to be urgently challenged?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I guess now with both unfortunately and fortunately, with the easy access of social media,
right?
Even we were able to see live at times the genocide unfolding.
That's right.
In our eyes,
exactly,
through social media.
Yep.
So despite people seeing this genocide being played on their phones, unfortunately, there are still those that have been starting some misconceptions, some changes in the narratives based on their own personal gain or their personal agenda.
Yeah.
So would you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah. One of the things that I have seen, at least in the communities that I've been a part of here in New Jersey, Presbyterian communities, is sometimes the folks who are sitting in the pews are not actually the folks who are on Instagram and TikTok. They're not seeing the courageous Palestinian journalists showing us the genocide of their people on our phones. They are consuming Western media sources, which is then bringing about the Western media talking points that come up when I do adult Sunday school classes, when I share what I've witnessed with my own eyes as I've traveled in at least the West Bank and East Jerusalem to see the apartheid, the IOF, up close and personal. They'll spit back the talking points from Western media. So I think we have a lot of work to do because not everybody is accessing the brave, Palestinian storytelling. And I think, there's something about the truth. When you know the truth and you know the facts on the ground, it's a no-brainer. Like, we just had a conference. I just got back from the PJN, and we had Sim Kern, who's an influencer with JVP and an influencer for the Palestinian movement. And it's very simple in some ways to say genocide bad for all people at all times, no matter what. But those talking points of, what about Hamas and all of the Hezbollah that has been used over and over again, we still find being shared often because people know what they've been fed. So I think that gives great work for us to do. I know that JVP does, and if not now, and others are doing incredible work in their communities on precisely these things. Sim's book is going after these points one by one. I think for the Christian community, the Presbyterian community, we need to be doing similar work. It's very difficult in this area sometimes because we have this kind of progressive except for Palestine notion. We have this, ecumenical deal that was made where it's like, okay, well, you can have these so-called interfaith relationships and the Jewish rabbi is not going to make you feel guilty as a, white Christian clergy member about the Holocaust, and you're going to agree not to talk about Palestine. And so that we face that constantly every day in the dynamics in our presbytery here in New Jersey, and it's quite difficult. People are scared. And there's sometimes a resistance to hearing the truth. That's why I think when we can there's been a big push of getting Christian groups, getting Presbyterian groups to go on these solidarity delegations and experience things in their own bodies, metabolize it, see the facts on the ground, and that can change folks who at least are open to that piece of it. And then for those whose hearts have been incredibly hardened, I think we have to continue to, yes, love them, but to continue to speak the truth and not stop.
Reverend, have you had the privilege and the blessing of traveling to Palestine?
I have, yeah. In end of May, 1st of June, 2024 was my first time going on a solidarity delegation that was, supported and led by the Sabeel Center for Ecumenical and Liberation Theology in East Jerusalem. It was a transformative life experience that has kind of really been used by God in my life to set me on the course to say, I know what it means to live out my faith now. It's given me a way to say, this is what I know to be true. These are the values I hold. This is the God who I'm following, this God of truth and justice and peace. And so now I can join in a long line because it did not start on October 7th, 2023.
Right, it did not.
It did not start then. So this has been going on. I have a lot to learn. I have so many books that I've been reading and so many more to still read. I have relationships to build, and I have a movement community to join and to learn and to take deep responsibility if I'm going to claim to be a Christian and a Christian clergy.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Reverend.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
attending our event today. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. It's amazing all the work you've been doing through PGN and PC. And it's great that you've had a chance to travel to Palestine and see, the beautiful, not just to see and be part of the beautiful culture and the people that are there.
That's right.
But you also see the deep sadness.
The deep sadness.
That unfortunately the people of Palestine, specifically the people of Gaza, they go through on a daily basis. Every single day.
Exactly.
Since 1948.
That's right. Drip by drip by drip. As somebody shared with us when we were there, Israel either kills you right away or very slowly.
Unfortunately.
Death by 1,000 paper clips. And so we definitely saw more of the death by 1,000 paper clips, but we also heard the witness to just how out in the open, and with just this heightened layer of cruelty and revenge, those death by 1,000 paper clips have been happening since 2023. And certainly we're seeing just that continual encroachment in the war on the West Bank by the IOF. Communities under, eviction notices and annexation and stealing of land and taking children and youth and people of all ages and detaining them illegally, throwing them in prison. Nobody should live this. And this has been the day in and day out reality, yes, since 1948. Yeah. So with deep sense of horror, with deep commitment to solidarity and deep responsibility. I just join in the movement. Yeah, saying no. Not going to take it. And what I can do in solidarity to use my body, to use my privilege, to use the platform that I have, the communities that I can speak to, and then the ways to put my own body on the line, that's what I'm seeking to be faithful to God in doing.
Thank you, Dr. Reverend, for all of your advocacy. Thank you for being a strong supporter for the Palestinian people and for the Palestinian cause. And like we say in Arabic, inshallah, means
Yes.
God willing, you will be blessed
Inshallah.
immensely
Thank you.
for the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.